Welcome back to Talking Dragon Age, the show where I talk about Dragon Age. This episode is all about Rock Wraiths and the Profane. Given their very brief appearance, they're a surprisingly interesting topic. Let's start off here with what they truly are. This one we encounter and speak to is a demon, presumably of hunger, that was drawn to the Primeval Thaig by these other Profane, which are believed to be dwarves rejected by the stone. Now that's where it starts getting weird. One word you'll find keeps popping up. Gangue.
Gangue.
It refers to impure spirits of the stone. It's the Dwarven belief that the stone does have impurities of its own that must be cleansed. Dwarves deemed impure by the stone are left as restless spirits, which we encounter in Origins. In Inquisition, the word Gangue shows up again in the Hissing Wastes. A Venatori is the one who translates it, assuming it refers to the demons. Lighting the torches in the wrong order will summon them to attack you. If Cole is in your party, he'll say this.
They were dwarves. They think they still are. They sound like dust tastes.
In the World of Thedas Volume 1, on page 126, we read that those rejected by the stone become Rock Wraiths. Now, what causes some of the gang to become these phantasms and other to become Rock Wraiths, I'm unsure. Honestly, once I started looking into the gang, I got really confused as to whether or not it would even refer to the Rock Wraiths and phantasms. I've concluded that it does, but it's weird. Yeah, that's pretty much the lore of Dragon Age, right? Weird. So anyway, Rock Wraiths are dwarves rejected by the stone. That's the important part. Now, most are left mindless monsters. Some are more powerful than the others. For instance, the Hunger Demon was able to get control of the ones in the Primeval Thaig. He wants us to kill the ancient Rock Wraith because it was too powerful for him to control. Looking at the Codex entry for Rock Wraiths, we see one dwarf who encountered one while chasing a Darkspawn emissary. The Wraith quickly killed the emissary, and the dwarves ran back when the Wraith turned to look at them. It followed, but once they got back to the Thaig, it collapsed the tunnel between them. Whether it was trying to help them or protect itself, we don't really know. The dwarf speculates it did this out of remorse, one lost soul recognizing another. Then looking at the entry for the Profane, it says,
We who are forgotten, remember. We clawed at rock until our fingers bled. We cried out for justice but were unheard. Our children wept in hunger, and so we feasted upon the gods. Here we wait in eons of silence. We few, we profane.
We get this entry specifically in the Primeval Thaig, which is really the only place we even encounter Rock Wraiths. It makes me wonder if the Profane specifically were changed by the Red Illyrium, and thus different from other Rock Wraiths. It could make sense. I would even say that Red Illyrium is what made them impure and thus rejected by the stone. Come to think of it, I wonder if the dwarves there actually built the place because Red Illyrium was there, or if the Red Illyrium came after them. I don't want to talk too much about Red Illyrium here, but Lyrium itself does relate to dwarven purity. According to the memory walls translated in the Descent, the Sha-Brytol take Lyrium into themselves in order to become pure and serve as guardians of the Titan. However, Volta reveals at the end, and in her codex entries later, that she is pure and the Sha-Brytol are not. I'm going to make another episode for the Sha-Brytol. The main idea here is that Lyrium and Titans are connected to dwarven purity. The Descent just made everything more confusing. Because if only Volta is pure for being connected to the Titan, why don't all dead dwarves become phantasms and Rock Wraiths? Not to mention that Cole says this after Ren's death.
It sings softly under the silence. The stone took him back. He's home again.
I feel like I'm getting off track here, but I'm really not. This all relates to how Rock Wraiths are created. What is their purpose? Why aren't there more of them? The Blight. The Blight. That's it. The Descent.
But the Darkspawn defiled these soldiers. They can't return to the stone. They'd only weaken her.
In Origins, the only places we encounter the gang phantasms are in places overrun by Darkspawn. What if they were the ones defiled by Darkspawn and not simply killed? The Profane we encounter in DA2 came from dwarves that were feeding from Red Lyrium, which carries the Blight. That's it. The Blight is what prevents them from returning to the stone. But what about Dwarven Grey Wardens? Depressing thought, but if they died during their calling, I would think that they wouldn't return to the stone. If they died before that, say, in battle before the Blight completely spread through their bodies, then maybe? But wait. In the Hissing Wastes, those dwarves weren't blighted, right? Maybe their exposure to the sun and sky is what made them too impure to return to the stone? But in Origins, the warrior caste sends a ton of soldiers to the surface to help fight the Blight. All I can assume is that it depends on how much time they spend up there. A few days might not hurt, but a few weeks or months will. That's all I can guess. Okay, I think that's about it. A few more Dwarven videos are in the works, so don't worry. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, Tala Nadas.